Hi, welcome to this week's mini podcast. And today I'm in this beautifully designed environment. So if you're only listening to this, I'm in Palm Springs in a very beautiful mid-century butterfly roofed house. And this idea of design, how we design our life, how we design the spaces we live in, they have to have intention. And without intention, and even knowing what we want and knowing what the parameters are, we're never going to achieve good design. I believe you can really design your life, and there's really an art to this design of life, and that has to have a health first approach. And what's involved in that is start at the end game. What's your end goal? So do you want to wake up in the morning feeling at ease? I don't know anyone who wants to wake up feeling anxious, but I do know a lot of people who do wake up feeling anxious. So if you want to wake up at ease, there's a couple of things you need. Number one, you need to have had some really good, strong resting to occur. Your life needs to be in balance if you want to wake up at ease. And waking up at ease means that you have space within that. And this is mental space, emotional space, intellectual space, physical space, because sometimes our bandwidth just gets too full, and sometimes we don't know, or we don't check in to see what is our bandwidth, how much can I cope with, what is interesting, or what did I say yes to when I should have maybe said no to, or postponed, or decided, well, today's really not the day to be doing that. So all of these things can come back to design. So if you are the architect of your life, how do you want to feel from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep? Do you want there to have been laughter? Do you want there to have been a sense of curiosity? Do you want to have learned something? Do you want to have achieved something physically? And then to think about, well, where is that not happening? And on a kind of scale of, if we use the traffic light system, but sort of in reverse. So when you're on green, where is it happening with ease and flow? Are you having good movement? Are you having good food? Are you having good social interactions? Have you got a fun coach in your life? That person who is always saying like, hey, do you want to go and do this? And you're just like, I don't know what it is, but I'll say yes. I have a few of those friends who I trust implicitly, and I've ended up on all sorts of adventures as a result, and I've never, ever regretted it. So have you got someone who you share joy with? And this is individual to you, whatever, there's no judgment on whatever that joy is. It's what does bring you joy. Have you moved, or are you in physical pain? Are you in emotional pain? Are you intellectually, have you flatlined? Did you go through a period of life where you were learning and absorbing and really fulfilling the needs and this very stimulating feeling of growth, and then you stop? So I had a conversation yesterday with someone, and we were talking about neuroplasticity, and I was saying how when I finished writing my doctorate, whilst there was this huge relief of like, I would wake up every day and think, oh, I don't have to write on my thesis today. That's amazing. And people were saying, well, what are you going to do when you finish writing? I was like, I don't know, but it's going to be really nice, whatever it is. And it was really nice. However, I missed flexing the cognitive muscle. I missed the brain work. And then I became obsessed with learning about the history of Greek democracy and theatre and conversation and all of this kind of philosophical stuff. And I've never stopped learning, not at the intense level of completing a doctorate and writing up and, read, write, review, and all those kinds of things, and choosing now to read different things, not always such heavy long form content. But it's something that you really, really miss because we are use it or lose it. And yesterday, this gentleman reminded me of, so London taxi drivers have to do something called the knowledge test. And if you've never driven in London or moved to London and then tried to find your way around London by car, back in the day, before our lovely GPS maps or TomToms or all the sat nav devices, there was a little book called the London A to Z, And here's the thing, it's really difficult to drive and read at the same time. And London is not based on a grid system like a lot of the cities here in the US are. It's higgledy-piggledy. It was villages and towns that morphed and grew and then became this giant metropolis and really incredible, vibrant world city. And what happened was they then tested the brains of retired London taxi drivers, and they found that they had shrunk from not using this constant tool of knowing, navigating, thinking, finding that route. And when taxi drivers were learning and taking the knowledge test, that expanded their growth capacity. So we always want to be learning, improving. And this really links into positive aging, because aging is just an opportunity for more research. You stop aging, the research stops. You stop learning, you stop being able to reflect on what is working, what is not working, where are the good things that are happening, what's working that I should do more of, and what is like, well, I've tested that, and like, how many times? How many times does that have to happen? And then also to weigh up, well, the pros and the cons, it's worth it. So yesterday evening, I went out for dinner with a friend, and it was an amazing restaurant. And we were there to just enjoy the food and great conversation. So we had escargot in this like rich butter sauce, and then we had a lentil soup, and then I had roast duckling. He had a rack of lamb, and then we had these two desserts. One was an olive oil kind of pie sponge with raspberry sauce and whipped cream, and then we had a side of vanilla bean ice cream, because who doesn't want a side of vanilla bean ice cream? So this was a huge amount of food. We were joking after, this was probably a 2,000 to 3,000 calorie meal, and I ate quite late in the evening, and it was it was amazing. And then as a result, like, I slept really, really badly, and I've kind of got like a food hangover today, and I don't regret one morsel of food that passed my lips, because this isn't my everyday. It was an exceptional opportunity to be in an exceptional restaurant and have exceptional food. And I knew that today I could buffer it. My habits that I'm doing 99% of the time, 80% of the time, they're going to carry me through, because I've designed my life with an intention. There's an architecture to it. There's a structure that allows for all these different things. So a good friend of mine, Mikkel Rugard, based in Copenhagen, he's designed some of the most beautiful, interesting parkour parks, and also public interactive art installations, which some people may look at and go, oh, well, that's a parkour park. And it's like, no, that's a temporary public art installation, interactive art installation for the public to move and play on and be in and around. And when I was walking around one of the spaces with him, he was telling me some of his process. So places are designed so like, well, where can you rest in the shade? So like this house, for example, this is in the middle of the desert. So it's designed so that through the different seasons, so the majority of the year is very, 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 very hot. So you want to have shaded, seated areas. Inside, you want to have cool stone floors, but also the desert in the winter can get really, really cold first thing in the morning, and through the evening it'll go down to maybe 4 degrees Celsius, something like that. That's not warm. That's this is kind of it's not snowy mountain weather, but it's winter season. So sometimes we design our lives in ways that they're just set up for the go, and yet we haven't allocated spaces of, well, what if you wanted to sit and pause? What if you wanted to reflect? What if it was a moment for strong resting? Or is everything based on some kind of unrealistic goal that you're going to be on the go, you're going to complete 100% of your to-do list every day, otherwise you're a failure in life? Or is it based on this scale of a 1 to 10% day, a 50% day? I mean, occasionally some people, they do hit those goals and they get those, crazy 100% days. I used to even create lists and then add things to my lists so I could have the satisfaction of ticking something off the list. And I found that very, very motivating. I don't do that anymore. And now what I do is I set myself just 3 things that I want to achieve that day. A lot of the time I'll achieve way more than 3 things, but my goal is 3 things, because I would rather have something that I can start and stop and finish. And this is really, really motivating. And then there's also the daily 3, then the weekly 3, and then the monthly 3 of like, or maybe then the quarterly 3, like by the end of this next 3 months, by the end of this month, by the end of this week, by the end of this day. So I want you to really consider to be the architect of your own life. And if you don't like how life is feeling and looking, think about a redesign. Think about, what are the design features? What are your design considerations? What do you need more of? What do you need less of? So I go into a lot of people's houses, and one of the things I always look at is there space to move on the floor? I was recently at a friend's house, and it's a tiny home, or it's a very old cabin, which is kind of looks like a modern tiny home now. And there's this giant sofa, and it's not her sofa. The sofa's been left there by the previous owners. And so she's in this phase of looking at this space and thinking, what are her needs? What is going to work? And I was like, well, I would get rid of that sofa and I would have a really slimline thing, because unless you can fit a round rug on the floor, you're not going to be moving on the floor. So a lot of people think they don't have space to do things. And they do have space, but they haven't designed the space. They haven't designed the space well with intention. They haven't designed the space knowing what works and what doesn't work. They haven't taken into consideration, how do they feel on the 10% days? What are the factors that are going to facilitate things? So it comes back to the simple design. If you're planning to eat well or in a healthy way, but you don't have good food in the house, and you know that your schedule is really, really rushed, there's a design fault there. You haven't taken into consideration the design of time, your time design of, when am I going to get the food? Where are the reliable, whole food, good, real food products that I can go to when I'm having the worst day and I have no time and I crave all the shitty stuff? How do I facilitate having a good option in front of me that I'll say yes to? And it's looking at these tiny things that may seem really mundane, that may not seem like the big things in life, but it's really the magic of doing the mundane. It's the magic of aligning and designing your life. If you find yourself feeling bored and flat, maybe you need to travel more. Maybe you need more adventures. And these can be micro adventures. They don't have to be something epic and off the radar, once in a lifetime bucket list kind of thing. So think about space. Think about desire. Think about what is causing you anguish and pain and frustration. What are the obstacles that you could redesign in your life? Is it about time? Is it mindset? Is it affairs of the heart? Is it moving your body? Is it how you wake up? Is it how you go to sleep? Is it a redesign of, well, you know what, there's too much light in my bedroom, so I'm not getting to sleep? Or is it, it's so dark and I can't hear anything, I don't wake up with natural light? Lots of people have TVs and screens in their bedrooms. This isn't advisable. So the research tells us. And if you're someone who spends much of their time getting this, beautiful natural daylight when possible, even on cloudy days, then you will notice that your circadian rhythm changes and you'll feel different. So this concept of the MAP system I created, this movement snacks, being age positive and adventures, parkour and play, and strong resting, this is a design to get you from A to B. A is wherever you're at, and B is the better place, which is you have your mojo back, you have energy, you're pain-free, you wake up feeling good, your energy is consistent through the day, you have patience and tolerance, your frustration or anger is at a very low, manageable level. You're able to step up and do the things you want to do physically, mentally, and emotionally. And you're using your brain as well as your body, because all of this is connected. We cannot disconnect our physiology from our mind. Our mind is also not separate from our physiology. So if you're having a problem in your body, check in, bring in the mind to help. If the mind is stuck in a funk, don't ignore your physiology. Bring the body in to help. It's a two-way street. They're always helping each other out. So that's today's mini podcast, just to think about design, be the architect of your life, and also think about what influences are taking you off track, what influences have built a structure into your life that you never wanted, you had no desire for, and is not serving you well. Let me know if you have any questions, and make sure to like, subscribe, and get notified when the next episode is out, and be on my email list so you're aware of all the free trainings I offer, because I do offer a 12-week course which is aimed at midlife women who want to reclaim and increase their physical strength and confidence. So if you want to get your mojo back, your energy back, be pain-free, be able to say yes to all the adventures you want to do, and age with grace, let me know. I can help. Thank you for listening to the show. Remember to subscribe and leave a review, and let me know what resonated, what you liked, what it brought up, what you're curious about, and what you would like to hear. You can go to julieangel.com and you will find a bunch of great free resources there. There is the free Move More course, your free Movement Snacks guide, and if you are interested in reclaiming and increasing your physical strength and confidence so you can get your mojo back, be brave, adventurous, and age with grace, then message me via social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, or through my website, or email me at drjulieangel@gmail.com. That's drjulieangel@gmail.com, and let's set up a call. And until the next time, enjoy, stay curious, and I'm glad you enjoyed the show.